Welcome back to the deep dive. We are pulling a bit of a U-turn today.
A U-turn?
Yeah, we're trading the abstract world of, finance and policy for something much more grounded.
Something a lot more practical.
Exactly. Something necessary and, well, critically important to your wallet. Long-term vehicle maintenance.
Right.
We're talking about the deep schedule, the stuff you don't really think about until the breakdown tow truck driver asks, so when did you last replace that?
Exactly. I mean, we all know the routine, right? The monthly fluid checks, the quarterly oil change.
Sure.
But the sources we've gathered today, they delve into those essential services that only need to be done at specific, less frequent milestones.
Mileage or time, you mean?
Mileage or time. These are the components that are just silently degrading over years or thousands of kilometers.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our mission today is, I think, a highly practical one.
Very.
We want to extract and just logically organize those hard-to-remember schedules so you can be proactive.
You get a shortcut.
Yes, a shortcut to being truly well-informed about the components that keep your vehicle reliable, safe, and, performing at its best. So you're not caught off guard by a catastrophic failure.
The core goal is strategic, really. It's about understanding when to check these critical, non-routine components, things like the timing belt, the clutch.
Or even your airbags, as we'll see.
Or even your airbags. Getting ahead of that curve prevents major breakdowns, and I think just as importantly, it protects the enormous investment you made in your vehicle.
Right.
We're trying to transform maintenance from this reactive hassle into a proactive, scheduled strategy.
That sets the stage beautifully. So let's get straight to the core problem.
Let's do it.
Why does the timing of these non-routine checks matter so much? Most people, and I'll include myself in this historically, you just drive until the car makes a weird noise.
Or you just stick rigidly to that quarterly oil change routine and think you're covered.
Exactly.
The risk of that reactive approach is, well, it's substantial, both financially and in terms of safety. Our sources, they really emphasize that following these scheduled tasks is what keeps the car fully compliant with roadworthy standards throughout its lifespan.
So if you ignore these specific intervals,
you're not just risking an inconvenience, you're actually risking the integrity of major propulsion, steering, and braking systems.
So we're saying compliance isn't just about, passing a visual inspection. It's about the literal long-term integrity of the vehicle.
And the safety of everyone inside, precisely. For you, the listener, understanding and following these routines is really the backbone of protecting your investment.
But there's a catch.
There is. We have to establish a crucial caveat,
Yeah.
right away. The list we are about to provide is a general idea. It's based on common vehicle practices.
So servicing schedules will vary.
They vary wildly depending on your vehicle model, the manufacturer, all of that.
That raises an important question then. If these are just general guidelines, how much variation are we really talking about?
Oh, quite a bit.
Could a key recommendation, like replacing a major belt, be 90,000 kilometers on one car, but say 60,000 on another?
Absolutely. The variation can be significant, especially between, a standard passenger car and a heavy-duty vehicle or one with a high-performance engine.
So maybe a 20–30% difference.
You might find a recommendation shifts by 20% to 30% or even more. But here's the critical insight.
Okay.
These general guidelines give you the framework. So if the general recommendation is 90,000 kilometers and your odometer is hitting, say, 80,000.
You know it's time to check your own manual.
Exactly. You need to pull out your specific owner's manual and confirm that exact number. It helps you anticipate the big expenses rather than being surprised by them.
Excellent framework.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump into the first structure the sources give us. Maintenance based purely on distance driven.
Right. This is the rhythm most drivers recognize.
The odometer.
The odometer. The data presents a very clear minor-major service cycle. It's based on every 15,000 kilometers.
And that gives your mechanic predictable checkpoints.
Yeah. It does. It's a standardized approach.
So walk us through what that cycle looks like. Let's start with the minor service.
Okay, a minor service focuses on your basic maintenance, so fluids, filters, a general inspection.
The easy stuff.
The easy stuff. This is scheduled at 15,000 kilometers, then again at 45,000 kilometers, and 75,000 kilometers. They just ensure the day-to-day components are fresh.
And the major service then fills in those other gaps.
Right. The major services happen at 30,000 kilometers, 60,000 kilometers, and 90,000 kilometers.
And these are deeper checks.
Much deeper. This is when the comprehensive checks, system calibrations, and typically the more expensive replacements are going to happen.
Okay, so it's within this minor-major rhythm that we start to see the really specific high-mileage replacements pop up.
Yes.
These are the things that cause trouble if you forget them because they're not part of a routine oil change.
Exactly. If we look at the 60,000 kilometer per major service, for example, the sources recommend a really key replacement, your tires.
That makes immediate sense, although I think a lot of people wait until they fail an inspection.
They do.
60,000 kilometers is, what, about 37,000 miles? Which is a pretty common lifespan for modern tires before performance really starts to degrade.
And then as you keep going at 75,000 kilometers, which is a minor service, the sources advise checking or replacing your shocks.
Right. The suspension?
Yeah.
That's something that wears so slowly you barely notice it.
You don't. And people often ignore it until the ride quality is just terrible, which affects handling and safety.
So now we're hitting the real high-impact zone, the near 100,000 kilometer mark.
Yes.
This is where components related to the fundamental movement and, well, the life of the engine show up.
This bracket is absolutely crucial. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the 90,000 to 100,000 kilometer range.
That's roughly 56,000 to 62,000 miles.
Right. That represents the point where major components of propulsion are simply at the end of their predicted life.
So specifically, what's happening at 90,000 kilometers?
At 90,000 kilometer, which is a major service, the big recommendation is to replace the cam belt,
Also known as the timing belt?
also known as the timing belt. And this is where the why becomes terrifyingly relevant.
Okay, so tell us what exactly a timing belt is and why its failure is so catastrophic.
The timing belt is a reinforced rubber belt that synchronizes the rotation of the crankshaft and the camshafts.
So it keeps everything in sync.
Perfectly in sync. Essentially, it ensures the valves open and close at the precise moment the pistons are moving up and down. If that belt snaps,
Which it will, eventually.
it will due to wear. If it snaps, that synchronization is instantly lost. And on most modern engines, this means the valves slam directly into the pistons.
A valve-to-piston collision.
Yeah,
That sounds like a mechanic's worst nightmare.
it is. You're not just breaking down, you're basically turning your engine into a paperweight.
Forcing a rebuild or a complete engine replacement.
Yes, that's why that 90,000 kilometer checkpoint is just, it's non-negotiable.
What an expensive repair to avoid just by following a schedule. And right after that, at 100,000 kilometers.
At 100,000 kilometers, the sources often list the clutch, another major high-cost component,
And this one must be highly variable.
very variable based on driving style. City driving wears a clutch much faster than highway cruising. But that 100K mark is the standard service limit for the friction material.
So the 90K, 100K bracket is a mandatory checkpoint.
Absolutely.
Okay, that distance schedule is pretty intuitive. The more you drive, the more wear you expect.
Right.
But let's transition to the second schedule, which is often, I think, less intuitive, but just as critical. Maintenance based on time.
Yes, regardless of the odometer reading.
This is where low mileage drivers or, people buying a used vehicle really need to pay attention.
Absolutely. You might only drive 5,000 kilometers a year, but parts still degrade simply due to age, exposure, temperature cycles.
Here's where it gets really interesting. We hear from people who bought a, say, 7-year-old car with only 20,000 kilometers on it, and they think they've got a safe bet.
But they ignore that silent time bomb.
The one just sitting inside the engine bay? Some essential parts just age out, whether they've seen the Autobahn or just the grocery store parking lot.
That's the dual risk. It's not just about metal fatigue from friction, it's about material degradation.
Rubber, plastic.
Exactly. Many rubber, plastic, and electrical components, seals, gaskets, hoses, even the timing belt itself, they degrade from ozone exposure and just continuous changes in temperature. Mileage doesn't matter.
So what's the earliest time-based replacement listed in the sources?
The earliest item on the clock is at 3 years. The exhaust.
And that's a corrosion issue, right?
Primarily corrosion and heat fatigue, especially if you live somewhere that uses road salt in the winter.
But then we hit a really critical and clustered group of replacements.
Yes, what we could call the 5-year group.
And what's in that?
What's fascinating here is how many critical components, things related to power, lighting, and stopping, they all seem to age out consistently around the 5-year mark.
Okay.
That group includes the battery, the alternator, brake pads, and light bulbs.
So why 5 years for these? I mean, take the alternator. Most people think that only fails if you use the electrical system heavily.
Well, the alternator's job is to convert mechanical energy into electrical power. It runs the car's systems and recharges the battery.
So it's always working.
It's constantly stressed by heat and high current. The internal components, like the voltage regulator and the bearings, they just degrade from consistent thermal cycling over 5 years, even if the car hasn't driven far.
And if it fails, your car dies.
It runs until the battery drains, which isn't long.
What about the brake pads? Surely those only wear out with distance.
Not entirely. Friction is the main culprit, yes, but brake fluid absorbs moisture over time, which reduces its effectiveness.
And the pads themselves.
The material composition of the pads and rotors is subject to heat and humidity. At 5 years, even with a low odometer reading, you should be checking those components with extreme prejudice.
So this 5-year group is basically all the electrical and friction parts.
The ones that constantly deal with high heat and high current, time just kills them faster than distance.
Okay, moving on to the big overhaul window, the section that protects the engine's life.
Right. We see a major concentration of engine-critical parts falling into the 8-year window.
And what's on that list?
The timing belt, the water pump, spark plugs, and the radiator.
This is a fantastic illustration of that dual schedule risk we talked about.
It really is.
If you didn't hit the 90,000 kilometer mark, the 8-year clock is still ticking on that timing belt.
Exactly. And if it hasn't been replaced in 8 years, regardless of mileage, you must adhere to the time-based recommendation.
And the water pump and radiator, they're part of the cooling system.
Right, they're linked. The radiator is the large heat exchanger at the front, and the water pump circulates the coolant. If the internal seals or fins on either of those fail from corrosion or age,
And they will eventually.
you risk catastrophic engine overheating.
So the 8-year mark is a hugely significant checkpoint for the longevity of the entire vehicle.
Massive.
What about the components that take a bit longer to degrade?
Moving into the longer term, at 10 years, the source advises replacing the thermostat.
And that's the temperature regulating valve.
It is. It controls the coolant flow.
So why does replacing a thermostat matter if the car seems to be running fine?
Because a stuck thermostat, either stuck open or stuck closed, causes major problems.
Oh, okay.
If it's stuck closed, your engine overheats almost instantly. If it's stuck open, your engine never reaches its optimal operating temperature.
Which means bad fuel efficiency.
Bad fuel efficiency and accelerated wear from incomplete combustion.
And 2 years after that, at 12 years.
At 12 years, the AC compressor is listed. These are internal systems, often containing seals and specialized gases that quietly degrade over the decade mark.
Say the seals dry out.
They dry out, they leak, and the system loses its charge.
And finally, the category that I think always catches people off guard.
The non-mechanical systems we assume last forever.
Right.
This is perhaps the most profound detail about long-term vehicle ownership. At 15 years, the sources indicate that even safety equipment like airbags and seatbelts have a shelf life.
A shelf life dictated by time, not by use. 15 years. It's just strange to think about safety equipment having an expiration date, isn't it?
It really is.
It means that vintage car you love, or that reliable old family vehicle, you might need a safety overhaul, even if the engine is running perfectly.
It's a reflection of how the materials degrade. The propellants used in airbag deployment modules can lose stability or effectiveness over that long a period.
And the seat belts.
The internal tensioners and mechanisms can weaken. It's a mandatory safety check most drivers completely overlook.
So we've covered a lot of ground. Major categories today. The long-term schedule's based on distance.
The minor-major cycle peaking at 100,000 kilometers.
And the schedule's based on time, which protect against simple age degradation, especially for low-mileage vehicles.
And the core benefit of knowing both lists is it's undeniable. Understanding these intervals allows you to avoid costly repairs and prevent those major spontaneous breakdowns.
This raises an important final question, though. If you've just purchased a used vehicle, how do you manage these conflicting schedules? The car might have 40,000 kilometers, but it's 7 years old.
You manage it by adhering to whichever milestone comes first. So if your car is 7 years old but hasn't reached 90,000 kilometers, you must follow the 8-year time-based recommendation for the timing belt and water pump.
Because the material degradation is your primary risk.
It is. But if it hits 90,000 kilometers at year 4, then the distance rule prevails.
That clarifies the application perfectly. The source material is clear that this schedule is only a general idea.
A framework.
Right. The goal of this deep dive isn't just to memorize the list, but to use the list as a framework. So now you know when you should be asking your mechanic targeted questions.
Instead of waiting for them to tell you what's due?
Exactly. You know when to consult your specific vehicle documentation and factor in those local variables. your heavy braking, your humid climate, your infrequent driving style.
Use this framework to demand clarity and accountability from your service provider. Know what questions to ask when you cross the 5-year, 8-year, or 90,000-kilometer marks.
We've gone from the rhythm of the 15,000-kilometer minor service cycle all the way through to the, well, shocking 15-year safety equipment replacement schedule.
It's dense information.
It is, but it's now logically organized for proactive action and, I think, understanding the why behind the maintenance.
And that's the ultimate goal, to
No.
leave you well-informed and in control of your vehicle's destiny.
So let's wrap up with a final thought.
To wrap up, here's a final thought for you to mull over. Since many modern vehicles today don't log high mileage quickly, which component from the 5-year or 8-year time-based list, like the alternator, the radiator, or the timing belt, might be the most silently ticking bomb in your vehicle right now, waiting for a clock, not an odometer, to dictate its failure?
That's a truly provocative thought to end on. If you own an older car with low mileage, you might want to check the age of that timing belt this weekend. Stay safe, stay proactive, and we'll catch you next time for the next deep dive.
Please like, subscribe, and get notified.